Hello, everyone. It is Friday, the 10th of November, 2023. Friday. Although the topics I'm going to be discussing yet again today are upsetting, controversial, divisive, and which means that they're all the more necessary to be discussed. And there's more news and information that has been shared in the last 24 hours that reconfirms what I've been saying now, what I've been literally saying now for the last several weeks about what happened in the Middle East, what happened with Israel and Palestine, and sharing hostages, even their accounts, Israeli hostages, their accounts of IDF soldiers and others firing on their own civilians, and then the response coming like a few hours after these attacks, and that's CNN and AP and New York Times and Reuters and multiple other mainstream media outlets were also on site even prior to these attacks, which I was saying was false flags staged and planned to make a certain group look bad and look like terrorist organizations, when this is possibly not even that group doing this, but other organizations or people that are being used and pretending that these people, right? This happens as well. And Netanyahu, I will reiterate, is a liar, unfortunately, and so is Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland and these others, whether they know it or not. They're lying to people. And how is it that I've had access to this information, like even from before these attacks, even talking about what days would specifically be possibly targeted and stuff like that as well, to usher us into a war with false flag events. So now you have this information. I've shared it on X. Other people have shared it on X. It's upsetting, obviously, to hear that there's just such a level of involvement that does implicate, unfortunately, politicians who are corrupt. Ladies and gentlemen, we make running jokes about lawyers being corrupt or not good people or whatever, but like I would argue that I've had lawyers help me out a lot more in my life than any politician. you know and even yesterday I updated my will, since I didn't really update it like officially since my divorce, which was an annulment. But anyway, and so I just wanted to make sure that any assets I have or anything like that goes to my family and not to someone that was in my life for a very short period of time that I could have done without. I'll just leave it at that. Oh my god. So look at my Rumble videos, my other ones, and if you're on YouTube, welcome. There's a lot of information on YouTube that you're not getting. And I'm also on account number 3 on YouTube. And so I would head over to Don189 on Rumble and take a look at my work, because I share all this proof too about hostage accounts even weeks ago, and about how the hospital wasn't blown up weeks ago. Within hours of this stuff, I call this out. I called out Ben Shapiro with the lies that he shared with the AI images within hours again. And it takes me hours sometimes because I need to sleep during these periods as well. And I think it's important to get this information out. I also wanted to talk about Europe, because there's still a lot of misinformation regarding this as well that I have shared, even with Cabinet, but also on my social, so all my social media outlets now for years, and even on Andreas Zertis's podcast, which I highly recommend and encourage people to take a look at. But I was talking about Europe, in World War I and World War II. World War II specifically is what we were talking about, because this was during Remembrance Day last year that we were talking about this, which was relevant. And for Canada, we have a Remembrance Day on the 11th of November, which is also a sacred gematria number, which is not lost on me with the sacrificial numbers that are used. And then also on the 8th of November was Indigenous Remembrance Day as well, which is 8/11. Anyway, but in Europe, during World War II and even leading up to it, Europe was almost entirely a socialist communist area location, with multiple countries broken down, but largely communist socialist countries. And you can take a look at this stuff yourself. This is stuff that me, as an infantry officer for 15 years and someone that was good at my job, this was necessary information for me to look at the geopolitics surrounding wars and key events that have happened, and understand them, and really fully dive deep into how this actually happened. And then the trickle on follow-on effects afterwards, after wars, after major events, including 9/11 and January 6th and Pearl Harbor and Titanic and all these other USS Liberty and Northwoods and so many other events I've discussed. So, anyways, in Europe, I also gave the breakdown of where the majority of the atrocities and the murders were committed against certain groups, right? And it wasn't just religious groups that were being targeted; it was also skin colors that were being targeted, and people of different languages that were being targeted as well. And so we can't dismiss that either. And so I will go through this with you because a lot of people believe that like the concentration camps, the extermination camps, the kill camps were in Germany. And that is we'll just go through it together. And I've already talked about Auschwitz. People think that it's in Germany, it's in Poland, and so that's something I've already shared. But if you Google yourself, if you look at the top three, I put in the top three extermination camps Holocaust, and then it says to me, Nazi Germany used 6 extermination camps, also called death camps or killing centers in Central Europe during World War II to systematically murder over 2.7 million people, mostly Jews, in the Holocaust. See, this number's gone down too. So like 2.7, again, it's a sacred gematria number for so many different reasons. Even the New Testament chapters, there's 27. And the Vatican uses this number as well, and for addresses and locations, which is why my address has a 27 in it, and why my phone number also has a 27 in it. and for many years, like actually my whole life. Anyway, so it could be upwards of 6 million people that were murdered. That number seems a bit high, but there was definitely a lot of people that were discriminated, murdered. And so there's no denying that. And I know that there's people that deny that this stuff happened, or apparently there are people that deny this stuff happened. And I think these people are just fucking the same ignorant people that don't know what I'm talking to you about now, and the same people that are not even open-minded enough to even like do their own research. They just think that they know what they're talking about. So I'm just going in here, and it says that the 6 extermination camps were Chelmno. And so I'll just go on to a search. We'll do the search together because I've already done this, obviously, again, for a few years, but I think it's really important. And it's important enough for us to, and again, do your own searches as well. So the first one they brought up was Chelmno. Okay. Okay, where's Chelmno? So it gives coordinates. So Poland. And they try to make it really hard for you to see where the location is. And they say things like German occupied Poland, but it's Poland. And so that's number one. So like the top, one of the top kill camps was Chelmno. Let's go into Belzec. See, it gives coordinates, but it doesn't really want to tell you where it is. Camp in Poland. So there you go. It says it right here. That's number 2 on the list. Okay, so it's still not Germany. Sobibor. And it's important to talk about this around Remembrance Day because lest we forget. We cannot allow this stuff to happen again. It's disgusting. German occupied Poland. They keep on saying German occupied Poland. No, ladies and gentlemen, it was Poland. I've said the majority of the atrocities were committed in socialist communist countries, okay, where there are, generally speaking, ironically enough, the most extremists and the most people that are willing to commit disgusting acts against human beings. More conservative or traditional people, generally speaking, they're more spiritual or religious and or family oriented and stuff like that, and they're not people that are out doing this shit or supporting this stuff or enabling this stuff or allowing it to happen to their families, etc. Okay. And we think that this trans movement and its woke movement is something that's new. We've had advanced civilizations now for thousands of years, and there's even people that are tracking completely different calendar systems all over the world as well. We're so ignorant to think that that North America or what we're considering first world countries now are the ones that have the most accurate knowledge or wisdom about the reality of the world, when that's actually couldn't be further from the truth anymore, unfortunately. And I still get people that that still troll me on my like flat simulation Earth stuff without even looking at my content or looking at Ken Wheeler's work or Eric Dubé's work or David Weiss or Alex Gleason or Nathan Oakley. Um, oh my God, Henry, like you name it. Okay, so Poland, another one in Poland. As you can see for yourself. Okay, so two more. Sorry about that. And these are just the top 6. Poland. Oh, and Finland still had on their Air Force flag the Nazi symbol as well. In a lot of cultures, the Nazi symbol is a symbol of peace, love, luck, these things. Even in Hindi and stuff like that, they do have positive correlations with the swastika. It also has to do with the Big Dipper with Sirius and how it moves through the sky during the solstices and the equinoxes. It actually makes that that shape, the Big Dipper with the Sirius star, doing that like a anyway for the 4 seasons. So imagine that. Okay, so the last one. Let's go. Sometimes says Germany, 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 Germany. It's Poland. It was Poland. It is Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, all or the majority, the majority, a very small percentage of actual atrocities were committed in Germany itself. It was the other countries that were blaming. I'm sorry, but you have your own leaders. You have your own ass country, your own people, and even in Poland too, with a lot of the tests and things that they were doing to make these more effective. These gas chambers, these kill camps, it's disgusting to even talk about. They were actually using prisoners of war from the Soviets and also Jews, disgusting, in order to and other groups to test, to kill, so that they can like make it more effective and kill a larger amount of people at one time, some like upwards of 800 people. It's so disgusting to even talk about this stuff, but this is the stuff that we want to avoid. All right, and we have people in our conservative government, I mean conservative political party, sorry, where we have a liberal government right now, which again is terrifying because this is where, especially when you have an atheist or and someone that pretends to be a fake spiritual leader or religious leader that's in charge, just like Adolf Hitler. He was an atheist. Karl Marx, he was an atheist pretending to be a Jesuit. Even the Pope now, he's an atheist pretending to be a Jesuit, and he's the first Christian Pope that's a Jesuit. And this again is just definitely not to I'm just spewing facts, and this has nothing to do with correlating anything with any specific religious group, because I'm saying these are atheists, if anything, and people that don't have a true understanding or grasp of the reality of the world, or they wouldn't be doing this stuff and lying about it. Okay, so so even 9/11, Netanyahu, I've already said it, he lied to Congress on C-SPAN. I've shared this on Rumble, saying that there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, got us into a war. I lost people. I risked my life overseas. I've deployed. And even now, I incorporated as soon as I got out of the military. And I'm owner of Athena Incorporated. Athena, and also was on Athena Roto 8. And got it like the goddess of wisdom and courage and war and power and strength and all that stuff. And so, and I use that name because I'm an international security analyst expert, and I've done work with all levels of government, like I said, the highest levels. And since I've started talking about the pandemic and how there were tabletop operations going on at Johns Hopkins University, Tabletop 201 and CLADEX, and like the timings were suspicious, you know what I mean? And they were following lines of of numbers that are used and dates that are used in certain groups that are in plain sight to let us know that these are all staged and planned false flag events using coding. No one wanted to listen to that stuff, and we're still, unfortunately, like not even anywhere close to the truth in Canada about the reality of the therapeutics that were used. and the early treatment that was available, that was more effective, and even talking about excess deaths gets me in trouble. And so I will just say, I'm not going to talk about that at all. These are all, this is all data I've shared to all levels of government, irrefutable proof and evidence and data that I share on Rumble as well. Even in my description boxes, I cite references and I give the letters I've shared and like the legal references I've provided. And yeah, I hope this stuff isn't upsetting to people. It's necessary to know this stuff, and so that we avoid future harm. And luckily, this stuff getting out about CNN and AP and New York Times and stuff like that, it's I'm hoping, this is what was enough of an eye opener, and finally getting the footage released. It's not pleasant to look at. Obviously, it's disgusting. But when you see Israeli soldiers that are firing on their own civilians, and the response was deliberately delayed, and that's why also like hostages were silenced, and they also wanted them to stay in Palestine, and they didn't even want to do the like accept them. Like people were wanting to bring people back, and people were saying no. And I think today might be a day that there's going to be some kind of a ceasefire to allow people within Palestine to flee. And there are a lot of children, thousands of children that have been needlessly murdered. These are crimes against humanity. And women, it's just so devastating. Poland. So the operational use of the gas chambers in Auschwitz, Poland, was preceded by experiments intended to find the most effective chemical agent and to work out the proper method for its use. About 600 Soviet POWs, and by the way, that's crimes against humanity. You don't do that to POWs. My great uncle was a prisoner of war for over 4 years, and he's passed away now. And I still talk to my great aunt and visit her in Gaspé, and a hero. And I just oh, and 250 sick Poles. So people that they consider to be sick, Polish people, that's what they call Poles, just to be clear, were killed in such experimentation from September 3 to 5, 1941. Several hundred people at a time could be killed in this room. The provisional gas chambers. In the spring of 1942, a second gas chamber went into operation, a specially adapted farmhouse whose owner had been expelled. Like they were even expelling people from their homes and stuff like that. So what makes you think that if there's any kind of a World War III, what if there is, like Canada gets occupied? What if there are foreign forces that come into our capitals or into our major city centers, and then also start like targeting the farmland and the rural areas first, just like they've done in countless other areas, including Afghanistan. Take a look at that. And I've shared information as well where there's even accounts of farmers saying that even predated war, that there was bugs, essentially is what they were calling it, but like being dropped even from from aircrafts going over their farms and causing their crops to die and their soil to be damaged and stuff like that, and causing food shortages and famines and stuff like that, which is why they try to look for other ways to get money. For example, opium, and went down those routes because they it's because of the soil and stuff like that being damaged, and then crops getting burned and destroyed anyways. For a while before there was people that occupied. It's all you can't even make this stuff up. And the 4 large gas chambers in crematoria. Most of the murders against like innocent civilians actually happened in the last 12 to 15 months of the war, and it was people wanting to do this as fast as possible and kill as many people as possible because they didn't want them to be re-released into the public. And even with the conservative political party, they're making a huge thing about a Jewish church, religious place getting targeted. And the last few years, there have been Christians targeted. There was even a friggin' mass shooting at a Christian school, like within the last year, by someone that was an extreme leftist, and targeting specifically white people and stuff like that, and Christians. So, and there was no talk. Melissa Lansford, I'm talking about, and Pierre Poilievre, these people that are calling out the anti-Semitism, which obviously is bad as well. Clearly, I'm not an idiot. I know this. I say this, and this wouldn't be necessarily going. This could be staged and fake and planned too, right? Because there's a lot of fake media as well out there. I've already shared that as well. So it's like, can you believe them or not? And there's been dozens of Christian churches burned and defaced over the last couple of years that I've shared, and not one of them spoke out about that and extra protection for Christian schools, none of that stuff. And a school got shut up just within the last year. And this has been a few years that this has been ongoing. So where's that, right? Like, and that's what I mean with the hypocrisy. And Canada was like we were built essentially on like like I mean in some areas on Christian values. I'm not a Christian. Like my interpretation of religion transcends like what we're like these allegorical stories that are grounded in truth but not facts. And all I believe the just discussing astrotheosophy and the representation that we see of Jesus and Mary and stuff like that. This is regarding this flat Earth plane, the simulation, and the sun's ecliptical path within the dome. I go on all these tangents. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, and so like no one spoke out in Canada. Like none of these politicians spoke out against actual crimes that were committed against like people within Canada, unless it's their specific group. So this is what I'm saying. Like they don't care about Canada. They don't care about any other religion except for their own. At least they're following a religion. But you know what I mean? Like it's better than nothing. But still, like as politicians, like you should be transcending, going beyond your bias, right? And not being so inconsistent with your values and what you portray as crimes against humanity and stuff like that. Because it's kind of a turnoff, right? Because like it makes me not want to vote for you. It makes me think that you're not genuine, that you actually don't care about Canadians because you keep on repeatedly showing me that you don't. There were signs that were saying gas the unvaccinated last year during the Freedom Convoy that was also staged and planned and funded by Liberal government leaders as well. And Brian Fox, a Liberal member who donates to the Liberal campaign, who's friends with Mark Menachino and Justin Trudeau and these people, he's the one that was wearing the balaclava and inciting violence, or wanted to incite violence in a riot, and was the one that was carrying the flag, uh, you know, to make it look like he was a white supremacist, which in fact he was a leftist, another fucking millionaire leftist that has nothing better to do with his life than try to cause harm and death to conservatives, I guess, or people that are not part of his political affiliation or his religion. This is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, and these are conflicts of interest, clearly. I'm just going to reiterate that. I have voted for 3 different political parties in my life. My religion or my spiritual beliefs transcend one specific ideology, and I think there's inconsistencies in all of the religions, unfortunately. And I think it's by design by the people that wrote these books, like Francis Bacon, aka Shakespeare, aka possibly wrote the book, the King James version of the Bible in 1611. And then there's certain religious groups too, where there's like like the messaging is regarding. There's good messaging on how to live your life, but there's also slavery embedded into it, and putting others into a superior hierarchy. That's fabricated and by design, right? And so this is where I say, like, people are slamming women these days, saying that, like, oh, so do they want equal rights and stuff like that, like everything. Excuse you, now. First of all, there's been advanced civilizations that blow this civilization out of the water with how, like, if you just go in Europe and so many other places, like for structures that have not been burned down or covered over or melted or flooded out or destroyed, you can still see like the remnants of these advanced civilizations and societies, and we're not able to recreate that now, and this is why we're de-evolving as a civilization, as a race, and it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer. And no, so maybe I'll just leave it at that for this morning. Just things to ponder as we get into getting towards the end of 2023 is what can we do in our own lives, not just doing research, not just like looking at videos and stuff like that, or sharing content, but what can we do in our own lives to be productive and to get us out of this spiral downwards that we're unfortunately getting ourselves into. And so for me, for example, I'm proactive. I try to travel. I can't travel outside of Canada. I mean, I can, but like again, I'm very nervous about it still. I would like at this point, just because of everything that's happening with people that share the same information as me, it's just a little bit more risky. But I still like I'm proactive in emailing government officials, in emailing media, and making the phone calls, and going out and trying to meet people in person peacefully. By the way, just to be clear, I've met countless people in person and it's been peaceful. And if I realized that there was no option for a dialogue in order to conversate and have these conversations that I'm having on video, then I would just remove myself from the situation so that I didn't make things awkward or non-productive, or just just be a pain in the ass essentially too, right? And so and it go nowhere, right? So just like possibly ruin my reputation or make me look like I'm not professional, when in fact it's just you know there's just a lot on the line. So I've done executive protection for the Bank of Canada, like the heads. I didn't do that for very long because it was more it was less what and plus I was busy with other contracts as well. Like I was so overwhelmed. I was working so many friggin' hours. And I'm like, I just retired. Like I just retired. Like, why am I like I still need to heal and go through stuff and like try to find a husband, and I was overworked. And also the work that I was doing, like it was very much like I felt more like a servant and a babysitter. And it's not to slam the people that I was doing executive work for, executive protection for. It's just and then not being able to be armed and stuff like that as well, especially going into the countries I like, especially for me, like as a woman, because I've been to war and I've had to carry a gun that was loaded and readied, and I've had to pull it out and not use it, but I've had to pull it out and threaten to use it against people that wanted to take advantage of me in a war zone and stuff like that. And I've had my own interactions with people that are supposed to serve and pretend protect and defend, and actually doing uh, the opposite. And so, anyway, so I will leave it at that for now. Yeah. So also like contacting legal teams as well. I'm going on all these tangents, but be like taking some of the like the data I reference and cite, sharing it. People complain about like the quality of my videos sometimes too, and I say like no one has like even donated, and I'm not even asking for that, but I'm just saying I can't put money towards even getting people to assist me with these videos and the editing and stuff like that unless there's an income stream, right? And if you take a look at the amount of people that actually look at my videos, like the people that are complaining are the people that are also like not liking my videos, not sharing, not subscribing, none of that stuff. And so like unless I get support, you know what I mean? It's gonna have to be like what I can do to the best of my abilities, given the assets that I have, and I'm still calling out all the information. So like I don't understand why you need to see like pretty flashy, I don't know, tags and pictures and whatever you want to call it within my videos. So if there's more updates to be had, I will do another video later on in the day. But on that note, I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.